Hello everybody and welcome to the third video in our series of videos on the 1798 rebellion. As always, we begin with our learning outcomes. So by the end of this presentation, you guys should know the main consequences of the sectarian violence in Ulster. Second, you guys should know details about the planned French invasion and what went wrong. And third, you guys should know what the Insurrection Act was and how this affected Ulster and what it meant to the United Irishmen in the south. Last time we saw how the United Irishmen became a secret oath-bound society focused on rebellion in Ireland due to the circumstances of France and due to the failure of the Irish Parliament to bring in meaningful reforms. One of the leaders of this organisation was Theobald Wolfe Tone, who we met last time, who wrote on behalf of Catholics, an argument on behalf of the Catholics of Ireland. And in 1795, he was caught talking with a French spy in Dublin, who trying to get help from the French for their planned rebellion. Thanks to his family connections, he wasn't arrested, but he was forced to leave the country. He set sail for America, but soon after he sailed back across the Atlantic in 1796 to France, where he sought their help in finally getting the English out of Ireland. Now, one of the biggest issues that has affected the island of Ireland since the plantations is religious sectarian violence. So this is violence against a different religious group. We saw it manifest in the 1641 rebellion when we were looking at the plantations. And although the United Irishmen were trying to bring an end to this sectarianism and have all religions treated equally, there still existed large amounts of sectarian violence, in Ulster in particular. Here we had the Protestant Peapo Day boys and the Catholic defenders who carried out violent attacks on people of the opposing religion. The violence got so bad in 1795 that the Peapo Day boys drove thousands of Catholics out of Ulster, warning them that if they did not leave, they would blow their souls to the low hills of hell. Now, the consequences of these attacks were that the defender movement then began to spread down to the south, and it also drove members of the defenders into the secret oath-bound United Society of United Irishmen. Now, back in more international territory, France was still at war with England at this time, and it was at war with most of Europe at this stage. They had developed one of the greatest armies of all time, and they decided to launch an invasion of Ireland in December of 1796. They chose December to avoid the British naval patrols, and the French set sail with a fleet of over 45,000 men on 43 ships under the command of General Hoche. At this time, Britain only had 13,000 troops on the island of Ireland, so they would have been massively outnumbered. The French were due to land at Bantry Bay with Wolfe Tone on board one of the ships. However, the French fleet was scattered due to terrible weather conditions, with some ships being sunk. Eventually, unable to land, the invasion was called off. Now, this led to the British government introducing something called the Insurrection Act in March of 1797. They also set up militias in every county, known as yeomen or the Yeomanry Corps. Now, the volunteers for these militias or the yeomen were primarily Protestant, and they were under the command of General Lake. And under his command, they unleashed a terror on the Irish population. With the defenders and the United Irishmen, it is believed that about 300,000 men were ready to rise up against the crown. And General Lake stated that nothing but terror will keep them in order. And terror was the order of the day. They started in Ulster, where they seized 5,000 guns in 10 days. They used their spies in the United Irishmen to arrest the leaders of that organisation, and under martial law they executed 50 of those leaders. They didn't try to disarm the Orange Order or the Peapo Day Boys. This was primarily aimed at putting down Catholic friendly organisations. So by the end of 1797, Lake's campaign had destroyed the United Irishmen organisation in Belfast. This turned the Southern United Irishmen even more radical, and they began planning an immediate rebellion. However, in March of 1798, 12 leading United Irishmen in Dublin were arrested, and due to the information that was given to him by spies. When they arrested him, they found papers. These secret papers were uncovered, and it became clear that a rebellion was imminent. And in the next video, we will look at the attempts to prevent that from happening and how the flames of revolution still flickered. That brings us to the end of our presentation. So by now you guys should know the main consequences of the sectarian violence in Ulster. You guys should also know details about the planned French invasion and what went wrong. And third, you guys should know what the Insurrection Act was and how this affected Ulster and what it meant to the United Irishmen in the South. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys got something good from this video.